A crowded city street, protesters chanting, holding up signs. The tension is thick in the air. The camera focuses on a white police officer, Officer Greg Thompson, tall, broad-shouldered, with a smirk tugging at his lips. Opposite him stands a black protester, Jamal Carter, passionate, unwavering, holding a sign that reads, "Justice for all." It was a moment caught on camera, a moment that would set off a chain of events no one saw coming. A protest in the heart of the city, a movement demanding justice, and one man who thought he was above it all. Officer Greg Thompson stood there, watching the crowd, his arms crossed, his badge gleaming under the streetlights. And then, with all the arrogance of someone untouchable, he laughed. Slow-motion shot of Thompson chuckling, shaking his head as if dismissing the entire protest as meaningless. The camera lingers on Jamal, his expression tightening, his grip on the sign firm. Jamal to Thompson, "You think this is funny? People are dying. We're out here fighting for justice, and you laugh." Thompson, shrugging, smirking. "Yeah, because this won't change anything. Y'all just love to make noise." The protesters around them react. Some gasp, some shout in anger. Someone in the crowd pulls out their phone, capturing the moment. The energy shifts. This isn't just another protest. This is personal now. What Officer Thompson didn't realize was that his words, his smirk, his arrogance, everything was being recorded. And in the digital age, one careless moment can change everything. The glow of a phone screen, a finger-pressing upload. The video begins to spread. Social media notifications flood in. Comments, shares, reactions. The world is watching now. We flash back briefly to set the stage for why the protest is happening. News clips play in the background. Reports of police brutality, names of victims, marches across the country. Jamal isn't just another protester. He has a story, a reason to be here. For Jamal Carter, this wasn't just another rally. It was personal. 2 years ago, his older brother, Marcus, was stopped for a broken taillight. He never made it home. No charges were filed. No justice was served. And now Jamal stood here, demanding accountability. He didn't expect Officer Thompson to care, but he also didn't expect what was coming next. The video of Officer Thompson laughing goes viral. Screens flash, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, comments flood in. News outlets pick it up. The words "white cop mocks protester" trend nationwide. The internet doesn't forget. Within hours, the video spreads like wildfire. Millions of views, thousands of angry comments, hashtags demanding justice. People weren't just upset, they were furious. This wasn't just about one protester or one cop. It was about something much bigger. News anchors discussing the footage. News Anchor 1. Tonight, outrage is growing over a viral video showing Officer Greg Thompson laughing at a protester during a peaceful march for racial justice. News Anchor 2. Many are calling for disciplinary action, with some activists demanding his resignation. The department has yet to respond. Officer Thompson at home, scrolling through his phone. His face tightens. He sees his own face on every news station. His inbox is flooded. His phone buzzes nonstop. Calls from his supervisor. Messages from people he hasn't spoken to in years. He mutters under his breath. Thompson, gritting his teeth. This is ridiculous. It was a joke. He turns on the TV. His own face stares back at him. A panel of experts is dissecting his actions, calling him a symbol of unchecked authority. His smirk from the video plays over and over again, burned into the public's memory. For the first time, the power dynamic shifted. The cop who mocked the protester now found himself under the microscope. But the question was, would there be consequences? Police department headquarters. Reporters crowd outside, shouting questions as the chief of police walks past, avoiding eye contact. Inside, a meeting is taking place. Police chief, sternly, to Thompson. "We have a problem, Greg. A big one." Thompson, frustrated. "This is overblown. I didn't touch anyone. I didn't say anything racist. I just laughed." Police chief. "And now the department is in damage control because you just laughed. The mayor's office is calling. The community is demanding action. I can't just sweep this under the rug." Thompson leans back, arms crossed, jaw tight. He doesn't like this. He's always been untouchable. He doesn't believe anything will come of it. Thompson, sarcastic. So what? You want me to apologize? The police chief's expression hardens. He slides a file across the desk. Police chief. I think it's too late for that. Thompson flips open the file. Inside, complaints. Dozens of them. Unfiled reports. Allegations from years past. Excessive force. Racial bias. The receipts are piling up. And now, people are finally paying attention. The video didn't just spark outrage. It opened the floodgates. People started coming forward. Former colleagues. Residents he had arrested. Complaints that had been ignored for years were suddenly back in the spotlight. And for the first time, Officer Greg Thompson realized he might actually be in trouble. Jamal, back at home, scrolling through his phone. He sees the headlines. He sees people rallying behind him. He exhales slowly, a small flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. But he knows it's not over yet. Jamal, to himself, quietly. Let's see if justice actually happens this time. A dimly lit newsroom. A journalist, Maya Rodriguez, sits at her desk, eyes scanning reports, fingers flying across her keyboard. The viral video of Officer Thompson plays on her screen. It started as just another viral moment. But to investigative journalist Maya Rodriguez, it was a trail of breadcrumbs leading to something bigger. People were talking, not just about the laugh, but about the man behind it. And when Maya started digging, she found something disturbing. Close-up of Maya's screen. Old news clippings, case files, grainy police reports with Thompson's name on them. Excessive force allegations. Cases dismissed. Complaints buried. Maya, to herself, murmuring, how did this guy stay on the force for so long? She picks up her phone and dials a number. Maya, hey, I need to talk to you about Greg Thompson. Off the record. A former officer, now retired, sitting in a coffee shop. His name is David Collins. Nervous glances. A deep sigh. Collins, lowering his voice. I worked with him for years. We all knew. The way he treated certain people, it wasn't right. But you don't question guys like Thompson. Not if you want to keep your job. Maya scribbles notes, nodding. She pushes forward. Maya, what happened when someone did? Collins hesitates. Then, leaning in, he reveals something that changes everything. Collins. They didn't stay long. Jamal's apartment. He's on a video call with his lawyer, Malik Henderson. Papers scattered across the table. Malik, Jamal, we have something. There's a pattern. Multiple complaints. People just like you, mistreated, ignored. If we push this forward, we're not just talking about one cop. We're talking about a whole system that covered for him. Jamal rubs his hands together, the weight of the moment sinking in. Jamal, so what do we do next? A courthouse steps. Protesters holding signs. Reporters shoving microphones forward. Maya's article is everywhere. The untouchable cop. How Greg Thompson evaded justice for years. The city is watching now. The pressure is mounting. Police department headquarters, tense atmosphere. Officer Thompson sits across from the police chief, arms crossed, face set in stone. A stack of papers lies between them. Complaints, allegations, statements. Police chief, grimly. Greg, this is bad. The department is under fire, and they need a scapegoat. Thompson, scoffing. A scapegoat? I did my job. Police chief. Did you? Because it looks like a dozen people say otherwise. Excessive force complaints. Racial profiling accusations. And now, thanks to that video, the mayor wants action. The public wants action. City Hall press conference. The mayor steps up to the podium, cameras flashing. Mayor. After reviewing multiple allegations and an internal investigation, Officer Greg Thompson has been placed on unpaid leave pending further disciplinary action. Jamal watching the press conference on TV. He exhales sharply. Relief? Maybe. But he's not celebrating yet. Jamal muttering. Unpaid leave? That's not justice. Thompson storming out of the police department, cameras flashing. Reporters shouting questions. Reporter. Officer Thompson, any comment on your suspension? Thompson, angrily. This is a witch hunt. I didn't do anything wrong. But the world isn't listening. The tides have turned. Karma is in motion. Lawsuit filing. Jamal and his lawyer, Malik, standing before reporters. Malik to the press. We are filing a civil rights lawsuit against Greg Thompson and the police department for a pattern of racial discrimination and abuse of power. This is about more than one incident. This is about accountability. The case picks up momentum. More people come forward. More stories emerge. Thompson isn't just a disgraced cop anymore. He's the face of a broken system. Thompson at home, watching the news. His reputation is shattered. His friends won't return his calls. The weight of his arrogance, his choices, now pressed down on him like a crushing force. For years, Greg Thompson believed he was untouchable. But when the world finally saw him for who he was, there was no laughing anymore. Just silence. Just consequences. 1 year later, a different city street. Protesters still march, but this time, something is different. Signs read, "Justice won't wait." Accountability matters. The energy isn't just anger, it's determination. A year has passed, but the fight hasn't stopped. The viral moment that started it all became more than just a news story. It became a movement. And the man who once laughed at the struggle, he's nowhere to be found. A rundown apartment. Thompson, unshaven, scrolling through his phone. He's not a cop anymore. He's a ghost. No job offers. No friends. The weight of his past choices pressing down on him. Thompson, muttering to himself. One stupid laugh, that's all it took. A courtroom. Jamal sits in the plaintiff's seat, his lawyer beside him. Across from them, the city's attorneys. The lawsuit is coming to a close. The judge clears his throat. Judge, after reviewing the evidence, this court finds that Greg Thompson engaged in a pattern of misconduct that violated civil rights protections. The city will be held liable for its failure to act on previous complaints. The plaintiff is awarded damages. Jamal exhales. This isn't just about money. It's about proof. It's about finally being heard. Jamal Carter didn't just fight for himself. He fought for everyone who had been ignored, dismissed, or silenced. And this time, the system had no choice but to listen. A community center. A mural is being painted. A tribute to victims of police brutality. Jamal stands, watching as his brother's face takes shape on the wall. A new legacy is being built. Activist to Jamal, smiling. This started with you, man. You made them listen. Jamal nods. He knows the fight isn't over, but for the first time, real change feels possible. Justice doesn't happen overnight, but sometimes all it takes is one moment, one video, one voice refusing to be silenced, to spark something unstoppable